And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, interim GM at WEIU. My co-host is Annalisa Haynes.
Everyone.
So, and we got everybody from the Charleston School District here for. So we have Todd Vilardo, superintendent. We have Chad Burgett, assistant superintendent for business services. I got that right?
That's right.
And making her initial appearance is Kristen Holly, assistant superintendent for student services here at Charleston. So,
Hi there.
appreciate everybody coming in today. I'm going to have you pull that mic a little closer to you there, Kristen. Todd, I'll let you start off just a little bit, maybe of an overview of what you do and then what they do, and we'll kind of just go wherever we feel. I'm talking about Charleston today.
Well, first, thanks, Jeff, for having us. We've done this in the past, and you're very good at interviewing folks in the communities, and appreciate you showing an interest.
I'm glad you came in.
Charleston. Yeah. Appreciate you showing an interest in the Charleston community and its schools. And I serve as superintendent of schools. This is my third year in the position, and prior to that, I served in the role of assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, largely Mrs. Holly's role now. And just having a great time serving in this role. We have a very supportive board. Largely, what I do is I work with our Board of Education, and I ensure that the policies and procedures are implemented, and work with our administrative team, including all of our principals and our central office staff, including Mrs. Holly and Mr. Burgett, in ensuring that the vision and mission of the board is implemented in our school community. So that's largely what I do, and we have, as you mentioned, Chad and Kristen with us. Chad serves as the assistant superintendent for business services, and his role is largely budgeting, finance, and he oversees facilities, works with our maintenance crew and Jim Kuykendall on a lot of projects that we'll get into here in just a little bit.
There you go.
We're seeing the benefits of the local county school facility sales tax, and we'll get into some of those as well. Okay. Mrs. Holly serves, as you mentioned, assistant superintendent for student services. Lots to talk about there. A lot of fantastic initiatives for kids and teachers that are also going to impact our community as well. In particular, competency-based education and the Leader in Me program that she'll get into a little bit more here.
Let's start with the taxes, because I mean everybody doesn't like taxes, but when they have to pay them, they want to see the benefits. So talk about that, either Chad or Todd or both.
Sure. The county school facilities tax was passed a couple years ago, and we started receiving that revenue 21 months ago. And for Charleston, we receive an average of $160,000 a month that we received on the 4th of each month. And to date, we received a total of $3,372,000. So it's been a blessing to our district. We're very fortunate that the taxpayers passed that referendum. The money for those projects have going toward facilities, and just some of the, if you don't mind, I'll share some of
that's what I want.
Yeah, I'll share some of those projects. The Mark Twain roof, we did half the roof last year. This year they're going to complete the second half of that roof. Jefferson's roof on the 1926 portion of that building was replaced, and I honestly think that roof was at least 40 years old. So we got our money's worth out of that. The drivet around Carl Sandburg, it's kind of the stucco on the top. This year we replaced the north and east side of that and got a new paint job. That building looks great right now. Carl Sandburg gymnasium floor has been done. Over at all our buildings, we've addressed HVAC issues, and we still have those to contend with, but it's been a blessing. The biggest project we have going on right now is we received a grant from the Charleston Area Charitable Foundation for $750,000, and we're remodeling all 6 of the science labs. So we're gonna
awesome.
It's awesome. The casework's new, paint's new LED lighting, flooring will be new. We purchased a lot of materials with that, so the kids, the teachers will have the equipment they need to give the students a good experience in the science, because for the last few years we've not had water or gas running in those. It's kind of hard to run a Bunsen burner if you don't have gas running.
No problem there.
So we've been extremely fortunate to receive those revenues. We'll meet again in August, and we have a committee that looks at our revenues and expenditures, and then we'll try to set next year's project setting up. So next year I expect to have around $750,000 to $1 million that the committee can make recommendations for the board for improvements.
Since the money's coming in from the Coles County facilities tax, I mean, do you think it'll stay consistently around that? I mean,
I think last
year,
last year we received it was about $158,000. This year was about $162,000. We noticed that in December that'll spike because people are out buying Christmas gifts, things
Yeah,
like that.
makes
But then in
sense.
January, we noticed it we went from about 190,000 to about 112,000. I think people are just, at the start of the year after the holidays, are kind of tightening their budgets up.
That makes
and
sense,
taking
yeah.
a break on
So
it.
before this tax was implemented, how did the school district, I don't want to say afford things, but how was it?
That's a great
I don't know what
question.
the term I'm looking for,
That's
but
an
I think
excellent
that's
question.
pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. Yeah.
Honestly, we were just not doing them. There was a lot of deferred maintenance that if you go around our buildings, and our buildings today, you still see some buckets out where we've got a leaky roof, and we just have to address those issues. But for instance, our HVAC units are controlled by a computer that's on dial-up. Who has dial-up right now? I mean,
That is
you
true.
probably remember it.
I remember the sound.
Yeah, the sound. But in our own homes, we're not having dial-up, but we're trying to cool or heat a building that's 168 square foot off of dial-up. It's not very efficient. So these are the issues that we're addressing. One of the members of our architect firm mentioned we have about the same square footage, this really stuck with me, of about 300 homes. And if you drive around town, you're going to see heating and air conditioning repairs. Your neighbors are getting roofs on. Their driveways are being addressed. Plumbing issues. So that's one way to look at it. I mean, we're never maybe going to be on top of it, but we've made some great strides because we've been fortunate enough to get
Now,
that revenue.
I'm used to covering, budget at the university level, and I know a lot more than what I put on. Okay, so bear with me. But when it comes to K through 12, does this school district, does it receive like state funding? Did the budget impasse affect the school districts? Does that make sense?
They haven't passed the budget yet this year, but I've been in this position for 2 years. In the last couple of years, the state has been with a new evidence-based funding formula. The state has been very consistent on their delivery of revenues, and they haven't prorated the funds that we received in the past, which made budgeting difficult because if you think you're getting X amount of dollars and they come in and say, we're only going to give you 80%, what are we going to do? So it's been very consistent since I've been in my position. It's been easy to plan for.
Yeah.
The evidence-based funding formula right now states that schools will not receive fewer dollars than received the year before. So until this budget comes out, our tentative budget, I've just planned that we're going to get the same until that comes in.
And then anything else just is, I hate to say icing on the cake, but at least you can address other issues.
It's also that there's so many different factors that have to be considered before you can even say, yeah, we'll fix this. But it's I hate that schools have to depend so much on outside factors. I'm sorry about that.
So certainly the state's financial crisis hit public education, higher
Right.
ed
Yeah, a
very,
little bit.
very hard.
Right.
And so Jeff might recall from 2008 on, for a number of years, the Charleston district and many other districts made reductions of their expenditures, which impacted programs and kids in the end. And so most certainly we could not be doing all the facilities improvements and projects without the 1% sales tax. We're very grateful. As Chad said, it's a blessing. So I do want to make note that when the community committee was looking to pursue the 1% sales tax, they asked our school district, what would you use the money on? And so we did a comprehensive review of all of our facilities. And at that time, we found over $2.1 million in needed facilities upgrades, primarily those related to safety, security, infrastructure, roofs, HVAC systems, and the like. So we are chipping away at those, okay, with the monies. But one of the other things that we're doing with the monies is also making some improvements to the exterior, the aesthetics of some of our buildings. For example, at Carl Sandburg Elementary School, the Drivet looks so much better. And not only are we doing the infrastructure, the safety, but we're also doing some of the aesthetic improvements as well, because that can have an impact on learning in the end, the psyche. When you walk into a building, you take pride in it. We're showing the community that we're using the money wisely also to look at some of the aesthetically pleasing things for our students and staff.
Let's switch to Kristen a little bit and talk about the students and the benefit they have and the competency thing that Todd was talking about. So go ahead, Kristen.
Sure. We have a lot of exciting changes going on in Charleston right now. We have two really big initiatives that are really interrelated. One is called competency-based education, and that is basically, instead of a traditional time-based education where students move through grades based on just their age typically, this is much more about mastery of content. So we are looking at developing a very...
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Keep going.
So this will not look very different for elementary, really, because elementary teachers are used to having students in a classroom at multiple levels and teaching small groups. It will provide students with opportunities to get either extra support if they need it, or to get advanced to go beyond their grade level if they're ready for that as well.
I'm
and then
shocked.
better meet students in the middle. Yeah,
No,
it's exciting.
I wanted to be a teacher. Before I went into journalism, and this is before everything happened because I decided
You're
to
sold.
do
You
politics.
can't become one.
Right. Well, one of the reasons why I didn't want to was because I taught in, I did like this teaching program in one of my school districts that I grew up in, and they just kind of passed the students along. And I was supposed to teach these 8th graders how to do a document-based question, right, how to respond to that, and they couldn't even write a paragraph. And it wasn't the teacher's fault, okay?
Right.
I know that. But they have all these different standards that they have to go through, and it just felt like they were being passed along. And it's like, I don't want to sit there and fight, and nothing against teachers. I respect teachers 100%, okay? But it did feel like that they were being deprived of a proper education, for lack of better terms.
Right.
So I think that's a great
And
idea.
that's not a Charleston, Illinois, like you said. That's just education in general,
Right.
where traditional time-based education has been just, we have curriculum to cover, and we have to cover it by the end of the year. And if you missed some of it, or, then good luck to you in the future, right?
Right.
This is, students would just go basically depending on their mastery of their content. But it doesn't mean that a student in, say, 1st grade would be in the same classroom with like 5th graders, or that you'd have a 5th grader sitting in a 1st grade classroom, or, I mean, they'll still be with their grade level peers, and it'll still be developmentally appropriate, but a student would have an opportunity to ensure that they're getting all of the important concepts before high school graduation.
That's fantastic.
We're also looking at the one thing that with competency-based education that we've looked at is a lot more student independence and student goal setting. Students need to take ownership of their learning from a very early grade and know where they are, know their strengths and weaknesses, and have goals. So as part of that, we are looking at it's called The Leader in Me, and it's a process where students will learn the 7 habits of highly effective people. You may have heard of that book by Stephen Covey.
There's a few of those still around here, WEIU, believe it or not.
It's most people have heard of it.
Yeah.
It was something that took the business world by storm many years ago, and then basically some people got together and developed a program for students, and so we are implementing that program also
What
right
grade
now
do you
this
start
fall.
at? What age do they start that?
We're starting in kindergarten or preschool even. Yeah, it's really exciting. Our students are going to learn how to set goals. They're going to learn how to implement those 7 habits in their own
in my
lives.
teaching. Like, I am not very goal-oriented, but that's fantastic.
It's very exciting, and it goes together. We decided that those 2 initiatives really do go together. If we're going to go down the competency-based education road, then we need to have students learn how to set goals and learn how to own their learning. And so it's exciting.
Now, how do you go
awesome.
about the process of getting the teachers to buy in that they all have to do that or they want to do that?
Yeah, that's actually been very positive for Charleston right now. Because change in any industry can be very difficult. When someone introduces something new, it's sometimes not everybody's open to that. In Charleston, it has been amazingly well received. We have teachers that are asking to go faster than what we anticipated. Right now, we have 24 teachers that are piloting competency-based education in their classrooms next year. So that's at least 2 per grade level, and at the high school, our core content areas are represented, and some foreign language teachers as well. So we have teachers eager and excited. It's just been trying to support them and give them all the basically staying out of their way and let them try some things and be supportive. And so we've got, I actually just met with them this morning, and they're ready to go.
Speaking of that, Todd or Chad or maybe Kristen, what's the timeline for school starting? And I know people need to register now or be registered. So
registration is underway now. Mrs. Holly oversees that process with an online system that we implemented several years ago. August 13th is when our staff returns. So that's an all-day in-service for our staff. We're looking forward to that day. And of course, the schools blossom back to life on August 14th when the students return.
Okay. I want to go back to Kristen just a minute. Obviously, the teacher bought in, and obviously the school district has bought in. Now, you said the students have bought in, but what are the students saying? Have you gotten feedback?
Not yet. We're starting this fall.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were make about the process. There's no feedback.
Well, we do. We had a couple of classes at the high school last year where there was a group of teachers that went to Colorado in the fall, to Westminster, Colorado, to visit a school, and some of those teachers came back and started trying some things in their classrooms. And the students are saying very positive things about it. They have found that they're able to work at their own pace is very helpful, particularly at the high school when students are very involved in extracurricular activities. They can gauge whether one night might be a little heavier load and I need to kind of back off for this one course, and then maybe tomorrow or the next day I need to spend a little more time on it. They're appreciative of having they're able to control their own schedules a little bit more and pace their own learning, and they feel like their instruction's more individualized.
Jeff, I appreciate your comment about getting the staff to buy in and so forth. One of the things that we strive to do in our district is focus on teacher commitment, and therefore filter that on down to the students being committed to their own learning, like Kristen mentioned with the Leader in Me program. And so when Kristen facilitated groups of teachers going to visit other school districts, we heard back from the teachers, when can we start this? We want this in our schools. And in fact, she's also in charge of professional development for our district. And so they've been training teachers over the summer. She's also been developing a substitute teacher training program as well that we'll be implementing this year to strengthen our quality of our subs as well, providing that service to
Does
them.
the curriculum change year to year? I mean, or is it a lot of it the basis the same and then you just adapt and go? Or?
Right. The curriculum is, we do meet with teachers on a regular basis to look at whether or not curriculum documents need to be revised, but our standards stay the same. We still have Common Core standards for ELA and mathematics, and we still have the science standards and the social sciences standards. Those remain the same. It's just the materials and the resources and how much support and enrichment you might offer students within those guidelines.
So because this is starting in the fall, is there a way that the school district is going to measure it? I guess I'm trying to think of how can you put this in terms of data? How can we see the effects happening or working, for lack of
Absolutely. Data collection is going to be a really important part. Right now we have such a small scale. We only have 24 teachers, as I said, but we are going to be watching those students' progress. What we've noticed from other schools, because we're not the only state, the state of Illinois is really supporting this decision, and they're encouraging districts to explore competency-based. Other states are further along, and they've noted that it's taken several years for them to see results in their data, but all have positive impacts on achievement data.
When you say 24 teachers, to me that seemed like a good number. How many teachers are in the Charleston School District? I know I'm probably putting you on the spot there, Chad.
About 180.
So it's that's still a pretty good percentage when you think about it.
And what people won't necessarily realize is there are other teachers that didn't necessarily sign up to be pilot teachers. The teachers that signed up to be pilot teachers were able to participate in professional development, and they agreed to be in leadership roles for the future to help other teachers to open up their classrooms to be observed. And not all teachers were comfortable with that particular aspect, but they came to me and said, can we still try competency-based without being a pilot teacher? And the answer is, of course, yes. So I think we'll see a little more than even the 24.
One thing that Kristen and I have talked about relating to facilities, as this instructional model changes, we may get away from 25 kids in rows facing the chalkboard. And we may have to look at our facilities and provide places, maybe smaller classrooms for groups of students to collaborate, work on projects, and then come back.
Right,
to the
and that's stuff that I've
shared
heard
learning spaces.
Yeah, that's stuff I've heard is happening right now in other states, that people are trying to, more of a Socratic seminar feel, when you're talking across from each other.
Speaking of facilities, largely in public education, we have an agrarian calendar, right? So the children come to school, in the late summer, and they end school in the early summer, and But we have a factory model of education. In fact, some schools, aged schools, still are built to look like factories.
Right.
So to that point, over time, this competency-based education concept may change the way schools look on the outside as well.
Their schedules will be very different. I think people will recognize bigger differences at the high school. As I said, elementary won't look a whole lot different. It may be, there may be more flexibility among teachers and sharing of students, but at the high school, we're looking for increased opportunities and pathways and schedule changes. Yeah, it's exciting.
That's
Today's
awesome.
July 22nd. School starts in just a few weeks. Is there all the positions filled? Are we still looking for teachers? I know it's always when the summer, and a lot of times it's athletics and coaching has to affect it.
So we're still looking for a high school science teacher, as a matter of fact. We may have some resignations, as is the case historically, between now and the time school starts. There's still a little bit of movement out there, but we still have a great process by which we find quality teachers. And of course, with Eastern right here helping us right here in our backyard, then that's a benefit to our school community as well.
So is it? I know for a while there it was tougher to find teachers. Are we finding that still? I mean,
Still
I
difficult
would
to find
say-
Some
teachers.
trouble. Like science is a difficult to fill position. There are some other special education. Those can be difficult to find.
what do parents most ask either of you when they see you out in the community? You know, people on the street. What do they ask Todd, Chad, or Kristen?
Well, for me, it's just what's new, and are you excited for the new school year? And of course, yeah, I am. I'm excited. You know, summer is a time to get ready for a new school year. So that's typically what I do over the summer. It's a little bit different than what Chad does and Kristen does, but I get excited for a new school year, and I can't wait for that first day.
I get those questions. I also get if you're a parent of a child going on Mark Twain, they might say, is that roof going to be done before school starts? And
Right.
when's the science lab going to get done? Those types of questions. But
I would think it might be easier to find a science teacher now that with all this science
Well,
stuff coming up.
That's definitely an appeal.
Yeah,
It
it's a
should be a selling point
Yes,
for
the
sure.
science lab renovations.
Yeah.
We stopped over there today, and it's coming along very
Yeah.
well. So excited
Chris-
about that.
Lately, I've been getting questions about registration. I'm currently the face of online registration, and my emails go out to parents. So I get a lot of questions about registration, about how to get access to Skyward. We have 2 dates coming up. Actually, tomorrow is our first one from 2 to 7, and then another one on Wednesday from 10 to 2, where we invite parents who need assistance with registration, where they can come into the high school, and we've got staff there that are able to assist them with the online registration component.
When I was leaving high school, that's when they started with Skyward. And before that, you still had to go into the school and bring like all the bill, proof of residency, wait in all those long lines, because there was 4 of us
Yep.
in high school at
Yep.
one point. So
and as your parents, they may have to go to 4 different schools depending on the
right,
age of,
yeah.
Right.
you know, you're in line for quite some time.
So,
Most
anyways,
people do it at home now. A lot,
Yeah, I
a
just
lot of
don't
it can be
know.
done at home.
There was a fee issue. Did we get that all straightened up on the register? I saw.
We
online.
did, yes, we
Okay.
did get that worked
Not
out
to
the
bring up
first
bad news,
day.
but
No,
we're gonna be
that's
honest.
okay. Yeah,
It's-
no,
just
we
people
got it
don't,
worked
you know.
out, and we're able to get those that were accidentally charged the service fee will be reimbursed. They'll be refunded for that.
And we
that fee.
recognize that most of those parents, it's not about the money, the dollar. But for us, it's about the principle of the matter.
Right.
If we said we were going to do something, then we want to make sure we follow
Yeah.
up and draw closure to that.
Yeah.
Based on this, when I asked this question, I didn't know if I was going to need to, but technologically, do you think Charleston is now moving forward ahead of where you want to be with the new funds coming in and science labs and some of the stuff that you're doing?
I think that we have a tech committee, and then they, with teachers and administrators, and they come forward with a plan, a recommendation. And one of the things that I put in the budget this year, after talking to Mary Ann Patnott, our district tech coordinator, and Mrs. Holly, was trying to get more computers for students in
Yeah.
the competency-based education pilot teachers classrooms. So those students are more one-to-one, not quite one-to-one, but getting closer.
All right, this show is flying by, believe it or not. We only have about 4 minutes left. Todd, I know you had some talking points. I don't know if I've forgotten anything, or is there anything else that we need to talk about?
Well, we got through most of those.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want to mention that we did settle a contract with our teachers here recently, and offering competitive pay and excellent benefits. That's refreshing after the state economic crisis of many years. So that's really, really good news for the Charleston school community.
And you've been talking about community a lot, and I think, doing a little bit of work this morning, working with the community is so important when you're part of the school district, because that you want to make people feel comfortable and that their opinion counts. Is there other things that you do for Charleston to make sure that people know that open door policy and they're welcome to have their opinion?
Absolutely. One of the things that we've heard for years, and many superintendents and board members here in public education, is that we hear the good and the bad, and some of the bad that you hear is, well, the kids can't add, they can't make change, that kind of thing. The other things that we've heard are that kids need better soft skills or responsibility and so forth. So I'd like to highlight that one of the things that we're doing with competency-based education, as well as Leader in Me, is it's the character and the competence. When we look to hire teachers or staff in general, we look for character and competence, both. And I would say that the competency-based education covers the skills and knowledge needed to be successful in life, and that the Leader in Me program or initiative handles the character. So what we want is that, it's the old adage, when the pupil is ready, the master will appear. We want students to be ready for instruction, and that's the Leader in Me piece of that.
What about when people leave Charleston High School? What do you want those students to be able to bring to a community, bring to a job, or bring to the next level education?
Well, for me, it's be successful in life, and that's largely how they, as a child, as a student, as they develop and grow, how they determine success. We want them, of course, to be productive citizens, productive members of society.
And you mentioned working with the community. One thing as part of both competency-based education and the Leader in Me initiatives is we have been working very closely with the community, and not just the people within the school district. We're working with the business community, we're working with Eastern and Lakeland and Sarah Bush, and we're having a lot of conversations about how we can partner with them as we move forward. We're getting input from them on what do our graduates need to be in the workforce, what does Eastern and Lakeland see that they think our students need, and then vice versa. Then how can they support us, for example, offering more internship opportunities for our students, or co-teaching with people in the community. So we're right now working probably more closely with the community in terms of the instructional aspect than we ever have. It's exciting.
So we're constantly listening and responding to our community, and one of the things that we've learned is that we need to strengthen what we're doing in terms of communicating to the community the good things that we are doing for the kids and for the community. That's also part of the Every Student Succeeds Act. And so the public will soon see changes to our website, changes to the way we communicate what we're doing for kids, and sharing the outcomes and our goals, sharing our performance with the community. So there's going to be some changes on the horizon there this year as well.
Well, we're out. So we didn't even have to do the world famous 8 questions at the end, 30 seconds ago. I appreciate the 3 coming in: Todd Vilardo, Chad Burgett, and Kristen Holly. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for
having us.
And hopefully the audience has gotten a little insight about as we head towards school year. It's hard to think that school's getting ready to start here in Charleston and at EIU as well in just a few short weeks. Again, thanks so much for coming in. Todd, real quick, if someone wants some information, website and phone number, anything?
www.charleston.k12.il.us. You can also Google Charleston Schools and it'll come right up.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all 3 coming in. Everybody have a great day. This is WEIU.